And good morning, and welcome to Nature Watch. Nature Watch is sponsored by Waddell's Nursery, Floral, Garden, and Bird Center at the corner of 12th Street and Millam Road. And now your host of Nature Watch. He's on the road this week, somewhere up north, I do believe. Gary Miller.
Good morning.
Yeah, are you up north?
Actually, Grand Rapids, so not very far.
Well, you're kind of up north.
Kalamazoo.
I got to get your audio fixed here, patched up here a little bit better. Okay, there we go.
Are you good there? Okay.
Well, yeah, we'll deal with it.
The roller coaster of temperatures again. Oh my goodness.
I know.
Frost advised me had some frost yesterday morning, and but it looks like that might be the last one. Knock on wood.
Yeah,
should be about the last one. We're about time for end of frost in the spring here.
Yeah, the Ellen Baca posted the average end dates for frost average, of course, and this time, of year, actually May 6th, 7th, 8th were mentioned quite a bit, so I think we're clear of it. You can put the snow shovel away, you can put the snow brush away.
Yes.
I hope. I just destroyed everything by saying that, so,
Yes, you did. So I think people probably would need to put that away and get their rain dancing boots on.
Yeah.
Looking at the extended forecast, we get a little slight chance maybe next Tuesday of scattered showers, but actually the next several weeks looks pretty dry.
Mm-hmm.
And we need some more moisture. I'm looking at the streams and everything. And we had some rains. We had some nice, gentle, soaking rains. We really needed those. They're very good for the soil and our plants. But boy, watching the streams have gone down considerably. And usually they keep that flow going at high flow for a while after rains in the spring, but we haven't had enough spring rain, so they come up for a short time after the rains and they go right down again. And they're actually in the low stage right now.
Yeah.
Well, not good. You can see it obviously out in the farmers' fields when they're out working. The dust clouds are just rolling.
Oh.
And I noticed the last couple of days, the irrigation systems have already started, so that says it's dry.
Right. And when we go back and look at everything, we didn't have a lot of snow, so.
No, we didn't.
So that definitely it helped contribute to the lack of streams rising up this time of year, right?
So I saw a few neat things this week. I actually saw the pileated woodpecker in my yard again on Monday, in his feeding rounds. So that they're obviously nesting really close to the yard this year. So I haven't figured out where they're nesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm near the Portage River, so there's a nice wooded area there, and that's typically where they've nested. Maybe they're just changing their feeding route a little bit or something, but sort of startling. I turned in the driveway and this huge bird flies across the driveway in front of me. Not expecting to see that, so it was good. Good to see that. Saw some first goslings already. The Canada geese goslings are out. Some really little fluff balls. So those will be starting to be very, very active and see lots of those. And they're out grazing already and providing the fertilizer that they repurpose and recycle.
Oh, there you go. Well, I want to throw this in before we go further, because this last week, many of us, including here at the station, did some flashbacks to last year, May 7th, with the Portage tornado and the damage that still hasn't been cleaned up. It's going to take years, maybe even decades, to get this, cleaned up.
Oh yeah, so it's actually Channel 8 and Ellen Baca and staff actually had a great some of the other news staff too had a great show on this week doing that year anniversary and looking back at and what it looks like now. There's just lots of trees down yet, and there's houses that are still just starting construction. We see folks every week at Waddell's that they're just getting back to doing some plantings.
Mm-hmm.
Folks that are not ready yet, so it's going to be quite a while. And looking at the state game area, there's quite a cluster of trees laying every which way and not upright anymore. So
right,
I don't even know if you can even try to walk through there.
If you drive US 131 just south of Center as you're heading towards Schoolcraft, you can see where that tornado came through.
That's you can see that very well, and you can see if you look just to the east. That path of the trees down and everything. It's just unbelievable.
Right. Well, I tell you what, we are talking about something devastating that happened last year. Let's put some fun into today, should we?
Sure, sure.
Okay,
So that's
let's.
not the key cue to the trivia question.
You got that right. $20 gift card. It won't come from Grand Rapids. It'll come from here. Trust me. $20 gift card to Waddell's Nursery, Flower Garden, and Bird Center. If you can answer Gary's trivia question correctly, 269-382-4280 is the number you need to call. First correct answer will win. Gary, what is your question?
So maybe a little softball again today, but I felt generous. So having seen and heard the Baltimore Orioles this last week in the yard, and they're building their nest somewhere. I haven't figured out exactly where. I think I know which tree, but not sure exactly in the tree because they hide it very well. So my question today is, how did the Baltimore Oriole get its name? And it's not from the baseball team.
You stole my guess. 269-382-4280. How did the Baltimore Oriole get its name?
Correct.
Okay. That it's a softball question as far as reading it
Well,
goes. As far as reading it goes, yeah. But it's not a softball to me because I have no clue.
So there's actually sort of a two-part answer, but I'm going to accept either part or both.
Okay.
So it is a little different. We'll see what the guesses are here, and you get folks calling in.
Right. 269-382-4280. While you guys are Googling it, because it may not be a softball after all, Gary will talk about other things.
Yeah. So actually, monarch butterflies, more of them seen in Michigan. Not a whole lot yet, but some. We're seeing a lot more butterfly and moth activity, including our wonderful, sarcastically said, spongy moth caterpillars, formerly known as the gypsy moth.
Oh.
We're already seeing signs of those caterpillars out there, and they tend to munch on just about everything. They really like oak trees.
Mm-hmm.
And so keep an eye out on your plants. They will eat everything. I know in years past I've had some friends had some spruce trees and some ornamental spruces that the gypsy moth or spongy moth caterpillars were munching on that new growth. So really watch and look at your plants when you're out in the yard. We've had some nice warm weather though, besides a few cool mornings here and there, and things will be just exploding the next few weeks. While you're looking out in your yard, now's a great time. If you haven't gotten your bird bath out there, get your bird bath out. Those birds need water, especially because we don't have much rain or haven't had rain. And make sure it's clean. So we've got a neat cleaner product at Waddell's that can clean your bird bath. Also works for your feeders. And if you're looking for that last, I'm going to say just a little plug. If you're looking for that last minute, I don't know what to get Mom for Mother's Day tomorrow. Hey, we got Oriole and hummingbird feeders on sale right now.
Oh,
I mean, a neat thing to get Mom for Mother's Day.
right. There you go.
So, get those bird baths cleaned and out there because I'll make sure those birds stay healthy. Haven't seen any big alerts lately from the avian bird flu from the DNR or MDARD. So it's a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're starting to see the effects of avian bird flu go down a little bit.
Very good. Very good.
And phone calls yet, Jim?
No phone calls yet. 269-382-4280. The trivia question today, $20 gift card up for grabs to Waddell's. How did the Baltimore Oriole get its name?
I mean, it isn't a softball. Maybe they're frantically reading and trying to see. I Googled it. You had to do a little reading to find it, but so we'll see. Maybe they're didn't have quite enough coffee. Need a couple of sips of coffee and read a little faster. Yeah. So actually today's World Migratory Bird Day. I talked about that last week a little bit. So if you have a chance, spend a little time and watch the birds. Migration, we've got some big migrations coming up. Tonight's going to be a little low here in Kalamazoo, but nationwide it's pretty high. But tomorrow night and Monday night, we're going to be very high in Kalamazoo. So over 11,000 birds per kilometer per hour.
Ah, we have a call, sir.
Oh, good.
Yes. Good morning, WKZO. Who is this?
This is Linda.
Hi, Linda. How did the Baltimore Oriole get its name?
It got its name because of its striking colors, and it was named after Lord Baltimore. His colors.
Yeah. Gary?
Yeah, so actually, I could not hear Linda on my end here. So.
Oh, okay. Tell me again your answer, Linda, and I'll pass. We may have a connection problem with him in Grand Rapids and all that.
It got its name because of its striking colors, and it was named after Lord Baltimore, his colors.
It's striking colors and named after Lord Baltimore.
Oh, that is correct. You got both parts of that.
How about
so
that?
The striking colors was actually reminiscent of the Oriole that was in Europe, not related to the Oriole here in the U.S. The Oriole here in the U.S. is actually related to blackbirds in that same family.
Oh.
But they look very similar. And primarily it was from the Baltimore family, i.e. Lord Baltimore. And their crest actually has the orange and black on it. And that's why the Oriole was named Baltimore Oriole.
And there you go. Linda,
and then the baseball team was actually named after the bird.
Okay. Well, yeah, I would hope so. The bird's their logo. Oh, man. I need some more caffeine myself, trust me. Linda, congratulations. You're a big winner. Can you hold on the line for a moment and I'll get some information from you? Excellent. All right. Thank you, Linda. Thanks for playing. And we'll be back with more Nature Watch. Gary in Grand Rapids, I'm here. 269-382-4280 with questions and comments for Gary as Nature Watch continues next on WKZO.
Can't hear the
Mother's Day is tomorrow, and it's easy to get Mom the perfect gift at Woodell's Nursery Florist and Garden Center, where there are hundreds of great gift ideas to choose from, including artfully arranged flower bouquets and combination porch pots filled with colorful annuals. How about planting a memory with Mom? Woodell's has flowering crabapple trees, lilac shrubs, rose bushes, and hydrangea shrubs. Or get Mom a hanging basket or a porch pot full of flowers in her favorite colors. Woodell's also has dozens of hummingbird and oriole feeders, all 20% off this week. Wind chimes also make a great gift. Woodell's has dozens of styles in stock, including hand-tuned Corinthian bells. Maybe Mom would like some new outdoor furniture, a gazing globe, a fountain, or an orchid plant. And if you just can't decide, a Woodell's gift certificate is always the right size and color. Happy Mother's Day from Woodell's Nursery Florist and Garden Center on Texas Drive at the corner of Mill and 12th Street. Open Monday through Friday 9 to 7, Saturdays 9 to 6.
.846, Nature Watch continues. Gary in Grand Rapids is back.
Yes.
Yeah, I am having technical issues over on this end. Things are falling apart. Then again, I can be a technical issue. Just saying.
So actually, the bird migration in the U.S. tonight is maybe about 357 million birds migrating in the continental U.S. Tomorrow night, they're predicting 421 million, and Monday night, 424 million.
Oh, geez.
So lots of birds moving around, and like I said, tonight's they're the same, they're predicting not very high numbers in Kalamazoo tonight, but tomorrow night, Sunday night, and Monday night, they're going to be very high. And so they suggest to turn off extra lights outside if you can, so they don't get those birds confused and migrating.
Oh.
And so actually there's a World Migratory Bird Day celebration today at Upjohn Park. And that's sponsored or hosted by the Kazoo Parks and Audubon Society Kalamazoo. And that runs from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Tomorrow, the Kellogg Bird Sanctuary has free admission for moms in honor of Mother's Day. And that's from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if you have a chance and it looks like the weather's going to be nice to go out maybe for a little stroll in the bird sanctuary and take mom out for part of the day. This next week, the Bird Sanctuary actually has one of their Birds and Coffee online chats. And this month, Lisa Duke, the grounds manager at the Bird Sanctuary, is going to be talking about bird beaks. So it might be a very interesting topic to tune into. Looking for something to do today besides going out and shopping for that last-minute gift for mom. The Wolf Lake Fish Hatchery has a couple of wildflower walks today, one at 10:30 and another at 2:30. And so you can, it's about a 45-minute easy stroll to look at all the current spring wildflowers out. So something else to do, one little extra exercise. And I mentioned last week, and we've got coming up here at about the end of May, the American Bird Conservancy is doing a webinar on warblers, and they're calling it the Warblinar. It's via Zoom.
I like that.
Yeah, the Warblinar. I like that. So my spell check doesn't like Warblinar. So that's not a word.
There you go.
But looks very interesting. You can do that via Zoom. I believe they're going to record that, so you can actually have a link to see that. It's 4 to 5 p.m., so it's an hour long. But they're going to be talking about all the different warbler species in the U.S., and there's lots of them. And a lot of those warblers are migrating through right now. So might be something maybe a little late after the migration, but those warblers, there's so many of them, and so many of them look very similar to each other that they're sometimes hard to identify. So might be a fun Zoom warbling hour to tune into.
Oh, okay.
So I saw something interesting here a little over, actually a couple of weeks ago, about a pileated woodpecker in Massachusetts. And in Rockport, Massachusetts, they were having an issue with broken car windshields and side mirrors. And they finally determined who the culprit was. It was a pileated woodpecker. So remember we talked about birds attacking their reflections and that? Typically, cardinals and robins are very notorious. This was a pileated woodpecker doing it and doing considerable damage, actually more than 20 vehicles damaged. Cardinals and robins might make a little bloody mess or so, and they keep attacking the reflection in the windows, and usually not a lot of damage. But that big pileated woodpecker, and they've got that hard bill because they're usually hitting trees and wood, and that did some pretty significant damage on vehicles. So be glad if you have those birds attacking the reflection. We've just got cardinals and robins, and the pileated isn't doing it. The other neat thing that I'd seen, actually Jim had put a little link out there. There was a little info on garbage patches out in the ocean. I thought it was something worth talking about a little bit. The NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, has actually, they track some of those areas where there are masses of garbage floating in the oceans. I know it's not Michigan, but we all need to be concerned because some of that garbage probably came from Michigan. And it's actually their little info sheet says garbage patch is a misleading nickname for those open areas of the ocean that man-made litter and debris accumulate.
Okay. Hey, I do have a call, Gary. Let me see if we can get this through. Okay. Who is this on the phone again? I'm sorry.
Hi, my name's David. David.
I'm sorry?
David.
David. Okay. Gary, can you hear David?
I cannot hear David.
You cannot. Okay. We are having a technical question or technical issue. I'll tell you what, David, give me a short version of your question and I'll pass it on.
Okay. I'm contemplating purchasing blueberry shrubs / bushes. And the gentleman that's selling them said that they're 6-7 feet long, and I want to save them until I find another house, keep them potted. If I'm able to do that, how do I prevent birds or other items, other animals, or from destroying them?
Okay, what Dave is doing is he's getting some blueberry bushes for his new property coming up, but he wants to keep them in the pots before he gets them over there and plants them. And this is the abbreviated version. Hopefully it works for you, David. Now, how he wants to know, how can he keep animals, birds, etc., out of them before he takes them over and transplants them?
Oh boy!
Yeah.
So,
oh, by the way, yeah, and David, thanks for the call. Go ahead and listen in. And I think Gary might have an answer for you.
Yes, I do. Wow. So there's still a lot of deer in the area. There's some pockets where there've been so many of them they've actually started getting disease, but there's still lots of deer in the area and rabbits, and those are going to be the primary culprits. They're going to try to chew those young blueberry bushes. The only way that I know of that you can do is actually protect those is put some fence around them. Put all the pots together and put some fence around them. Enough of a fence, tall enough that the deer can't reach over the top and munch the plants. Small enough openings on the fence to keep the rabbit out. This time of year, even though they've got lots of green to eat everywhere, they're going to look at that. Hey, there's some new plants out here in the deer salad bar in this guy's yard and David's yard, and we're going to come check it out and see what it tastes like. So they might just nibble a little bit, but on those small plants, a little nibble is pretty significant.
Okay.
So fencing's about the only way. You can use some repellents. You could use if you really want to get aggressive, use some of the liquid, really smelly repellents. That'll work for about 6 to 10 weeks. But put fence around them, spray a band about 3 feet wide in the ground around the outside of the fence, it'll smell bad. The fence will determine if they get over the smell. Hold their nose when they're trying to get to the plants.
Okay.
But yeah, just that's true of any small plants. So if you look out in nature, you're out hiking around, look at some of those small trees and shrubs that are just started. You're probably going to see some evidence somewhere that the critters have been munching on those here and there. And sometimes those, especially those small trees or shrubs, when they do that little munch, so many times they munch right in the center of the plant, and it actually damages the plant significantly. It doesn't typically want to grow like it should.
Oh, okay. David, thank you for the phone call. Sorry we couldn't connect you guys together to chat it out a little bit, but there you go. A couple of minutes left, Gary.
Yes. So we, all sorts of things going on. So these garbage patches, so they actually just a lot of just big areas of just miscellaneous debris and garbage that are floating in the ocean, but they're not really as dense. There's a lot of small particles. A lot of the particles are, 1/16 of an inch and smaller of plastic. So there's areas they can pick them up on the sometimes with radar on the and sonar on the ocean, but they're not real dense. That you look at it like you might see a little bit, but there's actually a lot there. There's a lot of small particles. So a few other actually fun. I thought I'd throw some other fun Baltimore Oriole facts out. Baltimore Orioles prefer ripe, dark-colored fruit. So unlike robins and other fruit-eating birds, they really prefer those dark mulberries, reddest cherries, and the deepest purple grapes. They will ignore green grapes and yellow cherries, even if they are ripe. So something neat. They also have a unique characteristic that it's actually they feed sometimes. It's called gaping, not vaping, gaping. So the orioles sometimes will use their slender beaks to stab their closed bill into soft fruits and then open their mouths to cut a juicy swath from which they drink with their brushy tipped tongues. So say that fast 3 times. Brushy tipped tongues.
No.
But they will eat oranges. So oranges typically are good fruit we get out in those feeders. Don't put they will eat some jelly. Don't put a lot of jelly out at any time because they're not eating a lot of that, but they will eat some, and that's why usually the Oriole feeders that have a little cup holder for jelly are pretty small, so you don't get a lot out there, and that way it doesn't get moldy in that.
Oh. Hey, I got a quick text for you, and we're getting down here on time as well. So while we're kind of wrapping things up, text to 80373. Wonder if you could touch on why it's so windy lately. They believe that you talked about it before, but they just got the tail end of it.
Well, so we have had a lot of wind, and so the big factor is we've lost some trees here and there. Windbreaks have been taken down, and other trees have been planted. But overall, the main reason we've had lots of wind recently is the jet stream. The jet stream is doing a big dip down in the U.S. and goes way down into Texas and then comes back up. And depending on where that jet stream moves east and west, it sort of determines how much extra wind we have.
Right.
And it's just part of that. When nature goes in cycles, and so we've had in recent years lots of wind, and this is just a windy cycle.
Well, we had that Omega block set up over us last week, which is why we had all the clouds and the off and on rain and just the general dreary weather,
Right. So when they have that jet stream that does that big dip down in the south and then comes back up, and then that big looks like a big U or belly in the jet stream.
Yep.
Moves east and west, we get those little variations or big variations of weather, and sometimes it traps that weather system, i.e. the very cloudy days we had, and it basically sits there and circulates, and it can't go anywhere because the jet stream sort of trapped it in place.
Right.
So we had that. Actually, that system was we had a lot of easterly winds, but when it was rotating and it was sitting in the atmosphere, most of our winds and everything were coming from the east.
Yeah. And actually, the showers were moving in from the east to west as well. That was
so not a typical weather pattern, but still not that unusual either.
Right.
This means you don't see them that often here.
Okay. Hey, Gary, have fun up in Grand Rapids, all right?
I will.
All right.
And get outside, enjoy the outdoors. Lots of neat weather coming up this week, and lots of things to look at.
And your boss is here live in just a few minutes, so there you go. Gary, enjoy. Thank you, sir. And
thank you.
Thank you for listening to this edition of Nature Watch. Tune in each Saturday morning at 8:30 for Nature Watch, brought to you by Waddell's Nursery, Floral Garden, and Bird Center at the corner of 12th Street and Millam Road. CBS and local news is up next, and then Andy Waddell with Over the Garden Fence right here on 590 and 106.9 FM WKZO.